This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlights. Igrita community youths protest alleged murder in Rivers. Shetima attends AU summit in Ethiopia. Reps to investigate poor funding of Auditor General's office. Federal government plans table the electricity for hospitals, varsity. Trump stops immigration crackdown in Minnesota. Robert Carlos hails Pele for scoring 1,000 goals. Wizkid cautions Tubaba for underrating him on global stage. Igrita community youths have taken to the streets to protest the deep sadness of the tragic murder of their son in Chelem, Samuel Festus, who was secretary of Omolu Omonwe community in Igrita and was killed on 10th of February 2026 by Aboki bike riders. A statement signed by Igrita community youth said the heinous act Jews have shattered the peace and the hospitality of the Igrita people. While the Igrita people have always been a welcoming and peaceful community, where residents and visitors alike live and conduct business without fear, adding that the recent provocations and escalating violence by some criminal elements have made it clear that immediate action is required to protect the people and restore safety. The aggrieved Igrita community youth equally said they are committed to upholding the rule of law and will not resort to self-help, but urged relevant security agencies to act decisively on their demands within 48 hours of this communique, adding that failure to do so will compel the community to take necessary measures to safeguard their lives and property. In view of the protests in the Igrita community, the chairman of Ikwere local government area, Charles Nwobodo, has banned the operations of commercial motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, in Igrita, and the ban follows the killing of one Samuel Inyechem by Northern Okada rider in the area. Speaking during the condolence visit to the victim's family in Omuwe, Nwobodo said the directive is aimed at restoring peace, protecting life and property, as well as addressing the persistent security challenges in Igrita, while assuring that those responsible for the killing will be brought to justice. The council chairman urged security agencies and members of the OSPAC to ensure full compliance with the ban and further directed that no Okada should operate in Igrita between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. daily for a period of 1 month, and appeal to residents of Igrita to remain calm and law-abiding. There was pandemonium in Akoko, Edo local government area of Edo State as kidnappers stormed the area and abducted no fewer than 5 persons, including a police officer. Eyewitness said the abductions have become a daily routine in the local government council to a point that the council authority and the traditional rulers imposed a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily. The first 2 were reportedly taken away at the Makeke Primary Health Center, where the government had abducted Tope Oriloye, a female secondary school student, and Samuel Eleshami, who had rushed his son to the health center with his wife on February 8, while the other happened at residence of a police inspector Shegun Obanowa in Auchi from Oma and Imoga, where he was kidnapped alongside his wife and daughter. His wife was, however, later released to go and arrange for ransom to free her husband and daughter. The national coordinator movement for the advancement of Akoko Edo people, Bode Ekundayo, in a statement in Benin, said the kidnappers who abducted Oriloye and Ileshami had already contacted the family asking for 100 million naira ransom for both of them. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has officially received the Torch of Unity for the 2nd edition of the Niger Delta Development Commission Games. The torch, which is a symbol of the games, will pass through the 9 states in the Niger Delta region, while the sports festival slated to run from February 20 to 27 will be held in Edo State. Receiving the torch on Wednesday at the Michael Okpara Auditorium, Umahia, Oti said the torch signifies unity, resilience, sportsmanship, and progress across the Niger Delta states, adding that the governor, represented by the acting secretary to the state government, Dr. Emmanuel Merebole, described the sports event festival as a welcome development that represents hope, discipline, teamwork, and excellence. He commended athletes of Abia origin who had represented the state at national and international games and distinguished themselves in various sporting events, and also lauded the state supporting sports development in schools and urged athletes representing the state at the second edition of the NEDC Games to compete with the champions mindset, assuring them of his unwavering support. O2 reaffirmed his administration's commitment to investing in youth development, sports infrastructure, and equal opportunities for women, stressing that sports remain one of the strongest platforms for youth empowerment, social cohesion, and national pride. Enugu State government says over 1.5 million children have so far received vaccination against measles and rubella within 1 week of the ongoing statewide immunization campaign against the diseases. The Executive Secretary of the Enugu State Primary Health Care Development Agency, Dr. Ifenywa Ani Ocheku, who disclosed this during the flag-off of the integrated measles rubella vaccination campaign held at the Michael Opari Square, Enugu said the figure represented about 68% of the target population of 2.2 million children in the state, describing it as unprecedented and a demonstration of the state's commitment to achieving zero cases of the disease. She described the exercise as a historic and deliberate move to protect the future of the state while health workers embarked on aggressive community immobilization, moving from house bank account. And after being questioned by CCB officials at the Bureau's office in Akure on the state, Bayo Ilawole said she was invited over allegations of fund misappropriation but maintained that she was innocent. Also speaking, the Director of Project Planning and Development at Osapadek, Mr. Olu Korede Adeshina Oladapo, said he was invited over an allegation circulating on social media, while also describing the allegations as fake and irritating. Healthcare services at the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Banawa, Kaduna, have been disrupted following an indefinite strike embarked upon by 128 nurses on Thursday over alleged unresolved welfare and career progression issues. The nurses, under the aegis of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, commenced the industry action in recent days, accusing the hospital management of failing to address grievances said to have lingered for over 2 years. Addressing journalists on Thursday, the unit chairman in the hospital, Comrade Enwereji Uchechukwu, said the strike became inevitable after several attempts to resolve the issues internally failed, adding that the union formally wrote to the management at least twice last year to seek redress on critical concerns affecting nurses but received no response. He alleged that subsequent follow-ups revealed that the letters could no longer be traced, and also confirmed that all 128 regular nurses in the hospital were participating in the strike, warning that patient care had been adversely affected. The union leader also timber marketing, Regia Lemo, Ungogo local government area of Kano State. The Kano State Fire Service confirmed that the government known to be ISWAP terrorists have killed Professor Abubakar Mohammed El Juma of the Nigerian Army University BU after a targeted abduction along the Maiduguri Damboa Highway. Zagazula Makama, a counter-insurgency and security expert in Lake Chad region, made this known in a statement posted on via X on Thursday that the attackers, described as light-skinned foreigners, specifically targeted Professor El Juma, suggesting the abduction was premeditated. According to Makama, authorities have confirmed that no ransom demands were made and attempts to negotiate his release were unsuccessful, and no official statement has yet been issued by the Nigerian Army University. About 120 artisans across Jigawa State have been trained on compressed natural gas conversion, maintenance, and safety as the state government works to establish CNG conversion centers in the state in a move to boost Nigeria's alternative energy conversion centers in the state in a move to boost Nigeria's alternative energy drive. The training, organized by the Nigerian Content Development and the Monitoring Board in collaboration with Hartsfield Global Resources and Safe Auto Gas Limited, aim to empower youths and artisans with skills to convert petrol-powered vehicles to CNG-powered ones, while also stating that the Jigawa state government will provide CNG conversion centers across the state. With 30-year-old farmer has been killed and another injured following an attack by suspected border herders in Bade local government area of Yobe State. According to Zagazula Makama, the incident occurred in Asbak village and the victims identified as Abdurrahman Awudu and Yawu Umaru were working on their tomato farms when two unidentified herders grazing sheep allegedly entered the farmland. The victims were rushed to the specialist hospital in Gashua for medical attention after the gunshots, and later that has reaffirmed the state's commitment to strengthening the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation in order to enhance transparency and accountability in Nigeria's public financial system. Senator Wadada gave the assurance during the budget defense session of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation at the National Assembly. He stressed on the need for the Auditor General's office to ensure proper coordination and standardization of financial record keeping across all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, describing it as a catalyst for effective accountability.
Will be well put in place. Auditing will be much easier, faster, and much more effective. And the effectiveness of that is what will really translate to transparency and accountability.
Earlier, the Auditor General of the Federation, Shaka Kanito Chirawal, presenting the 2025 budget performance, appealed for increased funding to enable the office carry out its mandate more efficiently.
As at when the promotion starts, and as I'm talking to you, we have areas of promotion of even those who were promoted in 2024. It was incorporated in the 2025 budget, and even the promotion that we are supposed to.
76 billion naira for the Federal Road Service, Science and Technology.
A number of projects and allocated funds to ensure early completion of certain, phases. We need to say that it is impossible to do budgets of costing 16.9 trillion. That will be very unrealistic. So we decided to go zone by zone, and we have chosen a number of projects, for completion based on phases, prioritization, and also rescoping. In page 7, clause 8, the President gave us graciously additional funds to the ongoing projects in 2026 proposal, and that stands at 797 billion, including contingency funds and counterpart funding, and is distributed as follows. Some people have been asking these questions, and this is the
House of Representatives has raised concerns over what it described as chronic underfunding of the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation, warning that the trend could undermine Nigeria's anti-corruption architecture and weaken public accountability. This is coming after the 2026 budget defense session of the office at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, before the House Public Accounts Committee chaired by Mr. Bamidele Shalam, while members described the allocation as grossly inadequate when weighed against the constitutional responsibilities of the office, which is mandated to audit over 1,000 ministries, departments and agencies, as well as government-funded institutions across the country. Salam said it is unrealistic to expect the Auditor General's office to effectively scrutinize a proposed expenditure of 58.47 trillion naira with such minimal funding, adding that due to budgetary constraints in previous years, the office was only able to audit 5 foreign missions out of about 100 Nigerian missions abroad. The Osun lawmaker further lamented that in the 2020 fiscal year, only 4% of the capital allocation to the office was released, a development he said significantly impaired its operational capacity, adding that the breakdown of the June 26 budget estimate shows that 5.3 billion naira is earmarked for personnel costs, 5.6 billion naira for overheads, and 4.8 billion naira for capital expenditure. A breakdown of the 2026 budget estimate shows 5.3 billion naira earmarked for personnel costs, 5.6 billion naira for overheads, and 4.8 billion naira for capital expenditure.
My own worry actually is in the fact that we have a budget of has a size of 58.1 trillion naira now, and the office of the Auditor General for the Federation is the office that is ordinarily meant to ensure that those monies are well spent and preventing corruption and ensuring that we have value for money, and ensuring that this office is actually well empowered or enabled to be able to carry out its statutory duties. It's about the only office in the finance chain that is mentioned specifically in the Constitution, Section 85. Yet, like the Auditor General said, they asked for 16 billion naira on overhead, and they are getting only 5.6 billion.
Some of the challenges the office faces in the discharge of its constitutional mandate are as follows. lack of administrative independence due to delay in the passage of the ODB, which has been passed and is waiting for concurrence with the National Assembly. Thank the honorable members for that good initiative. Delay in accessing relevant records or documents from the
started by jihadist groups. The CAS also referenced Nigeria's recent designation by the United States as the country of particular concern, saying it had heightened global attention on the nation's security challenges and underscored the urgency of decisive action. Domestically, INEC acknowledged modest improvement in the security situation but noted persistent threats, including insurgency in the northeast, banditry and kidnapping in the northwest and north-central regions, and farmer-herder conflicts. According to the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026, United States has proposed targeted measures, including visa bans and asset freezes against individuals and groups accused of involvement in religious freedom violations in Nigeria, and the bill specifically names the former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, as well as Fulani ethnic normal militias and associations such as the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and Miyetti Allah Kautol Hore. This is coming after U.S. Congressman Rep. Rightly Moore declared by X the introduction of the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026, co-sponsored by Rep. Chris Smith, and the legislation directs the U.S. Secretary of State to determine whether Fulani militias qualify as foreign terrorist organizations under U.S. law, while also calling for humanitarian aid delivery in Nigeria's Middle Belt through trusted faith-based and non-governmental organizations. The United States has also deployed about 200 troops to Nigeria to train the country's military in the fight against Islamist militants, and an American military official said the deployment comes weeks after U.S. President Donald Trump accused Nigeria of failing to protect Christians from terrorist attacks, and the troops were expected to strengthen Nigeria's counter-terrorism capacity through training and operational support. The defense headquarters also clarified that Nigeria's security, according to him, Nigerian troops form the backbone of the peace enforcement mission and shouldering the heaviest operational responsibilities and recording significant casualties in the process. He also expressed satisfaction that officers mentored during that formative period now occupy key leadership positions within the AFL, describing the force as a shining example of sustained international partnership, regional cooperation, and adherence to core military values. The Army Chief urged the AFL to preserve its ethos of sacrifice. Justice Obiora Eguatu of the Abuja Federal High Court has withdrawn from 2 cases brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, against former Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. The judge recently reassigned to the cases by the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, cited personal reasons and the need to uphold the interest of justice for his decision to withdraw. The development came following a civil suit seeking the forfeiture of 57 properties allegedly linked to Malami and was called for mention in the court, while the court cases were initially handled by Justice Emeka Nwite, who served as a vacation judge during the Christmas period. Malami is also being prosecuted by the federal government through the Department of State Services DSS for alleged terrorism financing. Independent National Electoral Commission has urged the National Assembly to release 873.78 billion naira to conduct the 2027 general elections, while it seeks 171 billion naira to fund its operations in the 2026 fiscal year. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amopitun made the disclosure while presenting the Commission's 2026 budget proposal and the projected cost for the 2027 budget elections before the National Assembly Joint Committee. On specific line items were not exhaustively presented. About 1 trillion naira election budget is structured across 5 major components. The INEC boss also said the budget was prepared in line with Section 3, Paragraph 3 of the Electoral Act 2022, which mandates the Commission to prepare its election budget at least 1 year before the general election. I am so.
We also have election administrative costs. Is the sum of 832 billion 169 906 287.67, with a miscellaneous expense of 41 billion 608 495 314.39, and now the grand total is 873 billion 778 401 602.08.
In their remarks, lawmakers called for the implementation of first-line charge funding for the Commission to ensure timely Appropriation Act for the Special Energy Intervention. No funds have been released, resulting in zero implementation progress on the project announced last year. Confirming the development, the special advisor on media to the Minister of Power, Bolaji Tunji, said the initiative had stalled due to the absence of budgetary releases, adding that zero funding has been released for the 2025 budget for the project, so there has been no progress on the project. The intervention was conceived to address persistent power shortages in critical public institutions, particularly teaching hospitals and universities, many of which depend heavily on diesel generators to sustain operations, while the federal government had set aside about 300 billion naira in its Lagos under the theme operationalizing the provisions of NDIC Act 2023 for effective debt recovery. The NDIC Act 2023 empowers the corporation to take interim custody of any movable or any movable, or immovable property of an obligor identified as the bona fide owner of the said property. The same act empowers the NDIC to freeze the account of an obligor of a failed insured institution with any insured institution. Oludare was represented by the director of the legal department, Olufemi Kushimo, warned that the culture of loan default and protracted litigation used by debtors to stop payments will no longer be tolerated, adding that successful debt recovery is the only way to restore public confidence in the banking system. And now some international tidbits. President Donald Trump's lead official has the end of aggressive immigration operations in Minnesota that had sparked large protests and nationwide outrage following the killing of 2 U.S. citizens. Thousands of federal agents, including immigration and customs enforcement officers, in what the administration describes as targeted missions against criminals. Have sparked tense demonstrations in the Minneapolis area, while the fatal shootings of Rini Gould and Alex Pretty, less than 3 weeks apart last month, led to a wave of criticism. After the killings of Thursday in its first election since the deadly 2024 uprising, as parties crushed under Sheikh Hasina's rule returned to the fray with a powerful political hire facing an Islamist-led coalition. Queues stretched outside polling stations in the capital, Dhaka, in a hugely anticipated election, while key party leaders have raised fears of threats or conspiracies to derail the vote. More than 300,000 soldiers and police are deployed countrywide, with UN experts warning ahead of voting of growing intolerance, threats and attacks, and a tsunami of disinformation, especially targeting millions of young first-time voters. Leading Prime Ministerial hopeful Tariq Rahman 60 is confident his Bangladesh Nationalist Party